I can hear it now. Fans take the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they form the big lock-in, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written.
Seth, good to see you.
Yeah, I'm a little behind this week. Sorry, everyone who's been dying to read the UFR for Purdue, because I worked an election again yesterday, and this is going to be this is my last one as an election inspector. I'm going to be in charge of an actual place next time. So look for me to find all of you people. I'm going to make you start volunteering and working elections too, because I'm going to need all the help I can get in 24.
Cool, man. Well, more of the same as far as the outcome goes. Man, these games are like, I'm excited to be able to be excited about a game this weekend, to have an opponent. It's just been strange, like kind of knowing the outcome before it happens every week is a bit of a broken record at this point. But
yeah, I know we finally get a game, man. But I mean, it just having football again after dealing with all the BS, right? Like I was so excited to go in and break down football, and I still haven't really gotten a chance to get. I'm only a quarter into the UFR, but even putting neck Sharpies together this week, I was having fun. Going through the game, yes, I have football to care about again. This dumb stuff in the Big Ten getting mad at Harbaugh for things that turns out they were doing the same exact thing. It's just so ridiculous. So, should we talk football?
Let's talk football.
All right. I want to show you. We're going to go back to the Purdue game and get into some things that you can see on film if you're a close watcher, and things that you as a fan should be able to pick up on. For example, when they come out of the big house, right? You got this beautiful banner right here. You see how it's stretched so nicely and everything like that. You wonder how this happens. Well, see this guy in yellow right here?
Yeah.
This is not Connor Stalions we're talking about. We're talking about a competent, gorgeous individual with a hockey jersey on, and look how well he holds that banner. Look at that.
I think is that you, Seth?
You see that? You see how taut they're trying to yank it out of his hands, and that thing is just so well anchored. That corner does not move. And who's there? Here I am.
That's awesome, man. That's a pretty fun experience.
Yeah,
it's amazing how big that banner is in person, and if there's any sort of wind, that thing can get pushed around. So got to have the anchors.
How strong those players are, man. They're trying to rip it down every single time they hit it, and you're like, ah. Anyway, let's jump into the Purdue film, because we talked last week about exactly what we saw. Right? Got 5-man fronts. They're going to pack the box. You got 8 guys in the box here, man on man. Everyone's got a guy they're dealing with. They got this free safety way back out here, right? This is how Purdue's going to play. And even though this particular play is a tackle overplay, they got a tackle down here who's this receiver's ineligible. They don't care. They got him on top of receiver. They got the free safety deep and following Edwards across the formation. They like to play man, right? The reason they like to play man is because no matter what they do, somebody is going to be free. Okay, you're going to have somebody. Someone's going to have the running back. You're going to have somebody unblocked, and the only way to beat them is to beat them in man. And if they're going to meet you at the line of scrimmage, it's very hard to get any yards against them. Right? That's how Purdue plays.
Yep.
So what do? Well, it's pretty simple. You have to run. You're going to have to win a man matchup, right? So if you're going to want to win man matchups, get them running. Get your guys who can run fast going against their guys who can't. So here's number one. On number one, our number one receiver is pretty fast. You have a little pre-snap motion. Get his action moving this way. All this space is his to cover if he turns around. What happens? Turns around, snaps it. That's a lot of space to cover against Roman Wilson. And a free 5 yards, right? That's the kind of stuff they could do all day. But you don't want to just do everything for 5 yards, right? Let's get into some more yards than that. So here we go. Here's another motion. Now, motion before the snap is going to reveal man coverage. That safety is out of the picture. He's so high up. Same thing, right? Everyone's going to be gathering their dudes. So you put guys in space and get them running. This is a little cheetah motion right here. He's running out here. He's got all this space inside here. Play action. You're going to have this linebackers watching core. Remember that linebacker at the first play? So he's watching.
Met him right in the hole.
He's,
Yep.
Yeah, so he's going to step down as soon as he's watching his guy. He's got his man. He's got his man. Well, his man is Roman Wilson. As soon as he turns inside, this guy's too far down. You have no linebacker help. All the space here.
The safety is another 10 yards back. I mean, he's 30 yards off the line of scrimmage and some of these plays. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have all this space to throw into. This linebacker sucks in on play action. He's not there to help. If he does, let's say he does think to get back, like they have Michigan signs or whatever, and he decides, okay, this is going to be a play action pass. He gets in here. You still have all this space to throw, right? You have another guy who's going to beat his man. Because that's what happens if you're playing man-on-man with just a free safety on top. You're going to have all these guys just winning with their speed. And that's a different scenario than when you have just quorum in a little bit of space. Now you have all this space to work in, and the more space you have, the more talent differentials are going to win out.
Yeah, and Seth, I mean, in watching this game, I really couldn't figure out why the safety plays that far off. I mean, it seems like if they're going to run a deep route, he can backpedal. He's got plenty of space, but like on a play like this, when you're going intermediate, he's got 10 yards to make up by the time the ball's there. He's not helping with anything. So, schematically, that seems like the one breakdown in this defense to me.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of having him really high is he's responsible for the quarterback, essentially. So if you have a running quarterback, then your guy running on the quarterback is going to be way too far away to help. That was what happened against Michigan in 2015 against Ohio State, that Michigan was playing a team that likes to run with their quarterback with the safety super high. Now, what you get for it is you have help on long breaking routes. So you have these cornerbacks are in a lot of space. Well, you have some help deep. So if this guy gets beat deep or whatever, or he wants to go two-way go, that ball is going to be in the air a long time. You're able to hold it down. So this only gets to the 40-yard line because, look, if he was further down and he had to come from this direction, he might just get robbed. He just might have Roman Wilson run away from him. Because he has that direct path, because he's got coming up from so high, they can actually get him down short of the 40 and they can limit the damage.
Yeah. A lot of bend, don't break mentality on that defense.
Yeah. Now, you can get more, right? So when Michigan got into third down, the other thing you can do is rub route them. Now, if you interfere with them, if you get in their way, if you actually hit them, that's pass interference. You're not allowed to do that. But you are allowed to run routes. And as long as you're not, hitting the guy himself, you're not allowed. There's certain routes you're not allowed to run, but you can, you have a lot of leeway to do this. So, especially if you're going against a team that is in man all the time. Purdue loves to run man, especially on 3rd and 3. Here, they're actually even going to bring the safety down, right? Because they're going to want him helping against 3rd and 3. They're not going to want to have, a quarterback running and getting them or whatever. They're still going to be staying in that same thing. So because they're running man, the path they're going to take. You know the route your guy's going to take, so they know the route you're going to take, right? Reveals man. Okay, you go in motion. The motion is going to tell you that they're in man coverage. Safety's down this time. So this time they're actually going to have his help. But what they're not going to do is get out of their man coverage. So here's Roman Wilson against number 1 again. He goes inside. It's all after the snap this time, but he goes inside on him. He changes direction. He's got 4 guys here in the way, right? This is a lot of traffic, and you don't need that much. Now, his job is to kind of push the tight end a little bit up and see if you can kind of bend him up here. But as long as he's at the line of scrimmage or whatever, that's plenty of space. He's got to deal with Cornelius Johnson. Johnson gets out of his way, so this is not a pass interference. Go ahead. You're on your, but just the little delay right there has created enough space, and Roman Wilson has all this speed that he can get it and move along. Now, there's one more way that you can mess with them, and that's actually I showed you whip routes, I showed you movement and everything like that. How about if we do it with a play call? All right? So Michigan actually uses they're self-scouted. They know exactly what Purdue thinks that they're going to do when they run some of their favorite plays. And I want to get into one of those plays right here. Sorry. Anyway, this is another 3rd and 6. It's early in the game, right? They get down to this look. Mesh is one of these money plays in football that everybody runs. It works against man, it works against zone, it works against all sorts of extra things that you can do to it. It runs so often that almost every single defense, when they see the offense get in the look that looks like they're going to run mesh, especially on third down when everyone loves to use the money play, they have their own calls. They have quick switches that they can yell out when they think it's going to be mesh. A lot of people think that sign stealing is this part of the game. Sign stealing is not part of this. It's mostly looks. You know that the tendencies of the offense. You know how they like to get into their mesh look. You have calls for mesh that you can quickly say, okay, we're going to be dropping linebackers into it. Just want to go over real quick how mesh works. All right, this is a play that any fan in football should be recognizing as soon as you see it. It's a very simple play. It's very easy to read. You can teach it to any quarterback, and you'll be able to run it as soon as I'm done talking about it here. So the first little piece of mesh, and I'm using the Chip Kelly style against man coverage here because that's kind of how Michigan uses their style or whatever, and Ohio State uses the same style. Ryan Day's offense is based on this play. The first thing you're going to do is have someone attacking the flat. That's your first read. What this is going to do is pull somebody out of if it's man coverage, you're going to pull somebody out of the middle because the action is going to be happening in the middle. Right, so you're pulling material from the defense outside of the middle, or it's going to also tell you if it's man or zone. So if this cornerback just drops off into this zone right here, and he's on top of here, now you know it's zone coverage, and everyone can run it. So that's the first read. Now your eye sweeps over to the left. This is the main part of mesh. That's why it's called mesh. You have these two crossing routes. Remember I said that you can kind of use routes to kind of rub people off? So that's the main part of mesh is going to have these routes here, and it makes it really hard on these two defenders to kind of stick with their guys. All right, so that's your second read. You're hoping that, him coming across, this cornerback is going to have to try to stay in his lane, but he's going to meet somebody coming across from the other direction.
And the closer to the line of scrimmage, the more traffic they're dealing with too. I mean, they're dealing with their own linemen, they're dealing with their own players, so you're rubbing two guys across, going opposite directions. For that cornerback and safety to both make it through clean is unlikely.
Right. So that's your second read. That's usually your money rate here. But there's a lot of things that they can do to check for it. Now, you've already cleared somebody out of there, right? So you should have some space to run in here. But if they're running zone, you guys actually have these guys stop their routes and find spots in the zone. Another way to kind of make sure that nobody's messing with this route, this is what Chip Kelly added to it, and everybody uses it all the time. You can see this all the time. Whenever you see this mesh, you're going to see somebody running an over route. That's your third read. All right, and that's going to pull whoever's bothering you. Say it's this middle linebacker who's kind of in zone coverage or whatever, or if you have a guy in man on him or whatever, or if this guy came over here, you should have an over route up here. Usually this is just going to draw attention away and keep that space underneath clean. That's your third look, and then if all else fails, you have somebody else over here, plus you have this guy who was dragging across this whole time. It can give you a high-low look, or what Ohio State loved to do, back when Ryan Day installed it at first, is if this all broke down because defenses were keying on it so much, you just kind of have the quarterback kind of roll out this way, and now you have this guy, and maybe this guy starts rolling as well, and this guy comes back over here and starts rolling around as well. So now you have all these other throwbacks. So it could end up just in a rollout if all else fails. So there's a lot of ways this play can work, or the quarterback is rolling out. You could just have the space to run it. That's why it's such a money play. It just has an answer for everything, and that's why everybody loves running mesh, and that's why every defense likes having things to mess with mesh. So obviously, you could be dropping a linebacker. Now, the more guys you bring, the less time they have to read it. But it's such a simple read. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You're just sweeping across the whole field. But you can have guys drop into your reads. So you can have him drop in here. A lot of defenses like to have an end drop into it. Michigan likes to drop tackles, right? You can mess with this by having various defensive linemen dropping into it, and then the quarterback has nowhere to go with the ball and starts rolling out, and then you just have somebody rolling out with him, and that's how they like to stop it. So back to our play. All right, here we are. They get a mesh look. They get their mesh call in. It's hard to see on the film, but you can hear it live, and Purdue is yelling, hey, we got a mesh look, and they're going to switch into their defense that's supposed to stop mesh. So here's your looks, here's your, there's what the reads are going to be. But then Michigan goes in motion again. Michigan's actually going to run this play the opposite direction. So you can flip mesh directly around, and now you have Tyler Morris as that number 1 read, right? So they're expecting mesh to be the other way around. And all they did is they flipped the play. So they got the right play call. They got the right play call, everything in, okay? But now look what you're doing to this poor guy, right? There's your 1 read. This guy is going the wrong way because you had this pre-snap motion like we saw before, right? He's going to have all this traffic to get through. And your first read should be good. And, so here's all the routes. They're going to get the rub routes and whatnot. You're also, because they're in their mesh call, you're getting this guy dropping in. You're going to get the linebacker dropping out. They're only bringing 3 guys. Everybody else is going to be in pass coverage.
Yep.
Right? So, but it doesn't matter. All you're doing is adding to the traffic because Michigan got that motion ahead of time. And this guy, this route here, this poor guy is going to take 1 too many steps inside. And there, he's dead.
Yeah, just way too much room to the side there for Morris. Yeah, I mean, he cut back that motion pretty quick, and he stayed low, like where he couldn't even see him, potentially behind the offensive line. He kind of hid back there and snuck out the back. That was a really nice pre-snap movement.
Yep. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing that you can see anytime. If you're out there watching the game, you see Michigan go in motion, you see a guy come with him. Okay, man coverage. See the safety high. They're showing you man coverage. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be in man from this. Okay, you see this look here where you're going to have a bunch of guys together. When people are bunched up, usually that's telling you that they're going to try to run a man beater. Usually, mesh especially. This is just a great setup for mesh. He goes in motion. He gets whipped. Now you got all this space in here, all this traffic in here that he's got to get through. And Michigan gets a nice game.
Nice. So Seth, coming up this weekend, we got Penn State, who put some points on the board against Maryland. What do you think?
I think Marylanded. I think Penn State. I think Penn State's pass protection is not very good. I like their running backs a lot. I think Katron Allen's actually going to be more difficult for us to stop than Nick Singleton, even if you look at the backs completely, which ones Singleton might be the bigger NFL prospect, just because Penn State has a very hard time getting him with the ball past the line of scrimmage. Now, they're going to have some cool ideas. Penn State hasn't played a lot of major games yet either. They didn't show a lot even against Ohio State, so this is going to be their Super Bowl. But I come down to I don't think they have the pass protection or the line play to be able to run consistently on Michigan. I think Katron Allen's probably going to get a few yards after contact. They're going to try to zone us a little bit. Michigan showed against Purdue that they have some answers for that. And, J.J. McCarthy is going to have to beat that defense. And this is going to be an opportunity to see how elite he really is. We've had a lot of signs that he's been playing very well against Purdue because the guys are so open. He could have just shredded them. He could have had 500 yards against them. He had some bad throws. He had some drops. It was not peak efficiency. Hopefully, noon game against Penn State. They've been planning for this. They got some things to open things up. But really what I think it's going to come down to is J.J. McCarthy elite enough to beat what is absolutely an elite defense? I have a ton of respect for how Penn State's playing this year. I think last year they screwed themselves a little bit by just coming up with too many ideas. And if Penn State's trying to outthink Michigan, they're going to get destroyed. If Penn State is going out there and trying to play football, I think that it's going to be a closer game. Certainly probably the closest game we've seen all year, but I'm still thinking McCarthy has the goods, and that's really the big answer. In football, there's no answer for a quarterback who can beat you with his legs, with his arm, who's going to make the right reads, and Michigan, you saw how clever they are. They know what other defenses do. They have lots of ways of attacking them. And Purdue is one thing. Penn State's going to be a much more difficult opponent, but they have a lot of talent that's going to be very hard for Penn State to hang with. And you saw Ohio State, who, at least equivalent talent to Michigan, right? Offensively.
Yeah.
When saying all told, Ohio State was able to move the ball on them enough to get them into a situation where Penn State can't really run the ball anymore. They're going to have to throw it, and I don't think Drew Aller has the ability to beat Michigan's defense straight up the way that McCarthy has the ability to maybe beat a team like Penn State.
Yeah, Aller really struggled significantly against Ohio State in their game with them earlier in the year. If the defense can hold him in check, it wouldn't be surprising to see a lopsided margin of victory. But this is one of those games going on the road. Happy Valley is a tough place to play. I mean, I'm glad we're playing them at noon and not a night game there. You and I experienced a night game there one time. It's with the whiteout. It's intimidating, and it's loud.
Yeah.
And we were also playing against Saquon Barkley, which, was a little bit of a cheat code at that point on their side. But I hopefully will keep the good times rolling and have some football against somebody that is in the top 25 college football teams in America for the first time this year, which will be interesting,
It will be, man. I mean, finally we're going to, let's see. Let's roll the ball out and see what we got, because we've been waiting all season for, someone who's actually a real opponent to step up, and it's going to be at Penn State, like you said. Penn State fans are probably going to be very reasonable about, all the cheating that's going on.
I would assume so. Well, hopefully we have some smiles on our face next week when we talk.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Seth.